Making your way through work Monday takes everything you got. Then Monday night rolls around and you realize there's a shot. You're only 10 points away. All those times when your team had no fight, they're just so gosh darn frail. Then your star quarterback let another deep ball sail, and your third round pick bet on his team. Then go check out our streets where everybody knows your pain, and they listen to complaints. You wanna be where you can see our bodies bring you no shame. You wanna go where everybody knows your pain.
Welcome into another edition of the Dad Bod Fantasy Squad. It's Monday, so I'm here with just Alex this time. House has a little tummy bug, so we're gonna give him the night off, let him recoup. Alex, how was your weekend, buddy?
Not bad. Hung out with Paulie.
Okay.
Yeah, we went and golfed, and a friend of ours like indoor simulator in his garage. So did that, and then just watched a lot of football. You know, saw Ohio State somehow get a gift from God. But
Don't want to talk about it.
Yeah. But not too bad. How about yours?
It was good. I was in Fort Lauderdale the past few days. That's why I was out last week for the last two episodes. Got out of here, got in some sunny weather, got burnt a little bit, so it was all right. It was a good time.
What were we doing out in Florida?
Just went on vacation. Just
Nice.
met up my girl down there. She was there for work, so decided to piggyback and meet her up down there after she was done working. So that was it was a solid little trip.
Yeah,
I enjoyed Fort Lauderdale's fun. It's like
I like it. Yeah,
20 minutes outside Miami.
right.
Close enough. You can go there if you want. If you want to stay there, there's plenty to do. Solid spot.
Yeah.
But enough of my personal life. Let's get into some football. We have, anyway, Monday night, our podcast, obviously, we have the Monday night football preview, and then we also get into our winners and losers from the week. Since it's just me and Alex, we kind of added a few things. We'll get into a couple other players that normally we wouldn't get into, just because we'll have a little bit of extra time. So we'll see how long this one goes. We'll get you out of here definitely in time for Monday Night Football, so don't worry about that. Stay tuned, stick with us, and we'll get you there. But let's start with the Monday Night Football preview. Saints-Bucks tonight. Alex, I want to talk about, for the Saints side, there's not much, right, to go about. There's the main players, but one thing that's going on there is there's no Juwan Johnson. You know how much I love him.
Right.
I think he's a very good player for this offense, especially with Andy Dalton. With him being out, who sees an uptick? Is it Troutman? Is it Taysom Hill? Is it Jarvis Landry? Because he's kind of in that slot role, shorter yardage play. Who's the guy you think will take those targets?
I mean, I honestly, I wouldn't start or play any of those guys, but if I had to, I think
DFS.
Yeah, DFS, probably Jarvis.
I like it. I think you're right. I think that's where these are going to go.
Yeah.
In the beginning of the season, he had the first few games, he looked awesome. Then he got hurt and was out, yada, yada. But I like that. I like that call. No Taysom Hill love.
Yeah, I mean, Taysom Hill, you're literally relying on like two plays, and those two plays, one of them being a touchdown. So I don't love that. Jarvis, I think, has been getting a little bit more attention recently. So it makes sense. That's the most logical choice. I don't love any of it, but yeah, Jarvis to me is the most logical choice.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think 2 weeks ago he had double-digit points, fantasy points. So I definitely like that call. I think he'll be DFS-wise. I think he could be a sneaky play to get some good points,
Right.
especially against the Bucs secondary. Hasn't been awesome. They're young. They're banged up. Speaking of the Bucks, Lattimore is questionable. I don't know if any news has come out as of recently. I've been trying to keep an eye on it. Obviously, we know how well he plays Mike Evans. So, with him being banged up, give me your outlook of Evans with and without Lattimore on the field.
To be honest, at this point with Mike Evans, I don't think there's going to be any difference. I mean, it's been rough. It's been really rough for him. And the last time they played, he had, I don't know, what he had, like 60 yards or something like that.
It was bad. Yeah, it was bad.
It was bad, but he also got thrown out with like a quarter to go. But he had 60 some yards at that point to where, was it like a complete shutdown? No, but I don't get what's going on. That Bucks offense has been a question mark and a confusing bunch to watch.
They just look off.
Yeah,
like the timing's not there. The connection that we've seen the past 2 seasons with Tom Brady, it's just not there. It's weird.
Yeah, it's at this point, it's like you've been expecting to play Mike Evans as like a wide receiver too. I mean, his entire career, he's been a wide receiver 1, and you expect him to be a low-end wide receiver 1, high-end wide receiver 2. And now it's scary to put him in the flex. Is Tom Brady finally, did he get, is he cashing his Social Security checks now? Like, it doesn't – it's not making a ton of sense. Evans hasn't looked great either, so I'm not excited about it.
So even without Lattimore, you're not expecting like that prototypical Mike Evans like 30-pointer or like any of that.
If the Bucks are smart, if Lattimore does not play, then regardless of what's going on, you're going to target Mike Evans. That's what you should do. It's not like the Bucks are blowing away teams. They're losing to the Browns. Like you need to you throw the ball to the best player that you have. Like if you can't do anything else, then you let the guy who's 6'5" go up and try to grab it.
Is that Godwin at this point?
I mean,
he got a ton of targets.
Godwin's a better route runner. He's better underneath. They don't use a tight end often and efficient.
Yeah.
The running back, the backfield has been, kind of off most of the season. So Godwin coming back was a big thing. I felt like they targeted Julio like 3 times last game. If I'm the Bucks, I throw Mike Evans the ball minimum 10 times.
Ooh, Lattimore's been ruled out, so that's good. Thanks for the update, guys. Albert and Tiffany both said it.
At this point, if whatever you paid to get him, you're playing him.
I still think Evans is like okay. He's an okay play week to week. I don't think he's not going to kill you, but I don't see those big games happening. Mm-hmm. Godwin might take an uptick for me tonight if Lattimore's out. Like that might be the guy that gets the most burn from that. We also have a quick question, which is I did want to touch on that. Is Lenny's playing tonight?
Taking Olave all day.
Right, I think Olave is going to get a ton of targets.
Yeah.
Lenny's playing. I guess you don't know how it's going to look with both of them in the backfield for the first game with Lenny coming back. I still think Rashad White's going to be
involved,
the back moving forward in this offense. But I definitely want to see it first before I'm relying on him. I think Olave is a safer play, especially. I mean, again, we just said it. Jawan Johnson's out, so Olave might just be that guy. Like he might get like 15, 20 targets tonight. Like he's the only guy besides Alvin Kamara pretty much on this offense. They're going to have to throw the ball probably a lot of this game.
But yeah, that's the thing. Lattimore's out. They're going to try to throw the ball as much as they can. That running game hasn't been really effective. They've only had like a few effective games. So
yeah,
Saints are going to be throwing it. Olave's the plug.
Real quick for Tiffany, she asked a question on Twitter to us. Final score of the game.
I'm going to go 27-18 Bucks.
27-18. Okay, there you have it. There you go, Tiffany. I'm the low guy on the totem pole. I have over-under on this game's 41 from Vegas, right? So with that, even though Lattimore's out, I think it'll be around 45, the total. Might pump up. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how this game goes. You never really know with these two teams, and it's like the rivalry and all that sort of stuff.
Right.
It could be a slugfest. It could be a super low scoring game, or it could be there you go. She's with me. Thank you. Hey, if I lose it for you, don't come at me. I'm trying my best. I hope she wins though. Okay, let's get into some of these winners and lose. Yeah, she had 47. I kind of talked her into going a little lower. Mario said higher. I said lower.
Yeah, I'm on the higher. I think
Okay.
I think
So
if
2-1.
anybody's, yeah, I think this is a week you play Brady, especially with Lattimore out, and I think they toss the ball.
We'll see. I'm excited. This is gonna be a fun game. I think
Should
it'll be
be.
a fun game.
Yeah.
So with that, let's get into some of these winners and losers from week 13. We'll start with the quarterbacks as always. He wasn't like a super high winner for me. He didn't, put up a ton of points, but I definitely want to talk about him. Tyler Huntley with Lamar out. They said it's week to week, but it's very unlikely he's going to play this week. Is he a
Right.
quarterback that you can pick up and play? Or if Lamar misses a significant amount of time, is he somebody you're willing to kind of roll through the next few weeks with?
Yeah, I think most people looked at him as being a very good backup to begin with, and when he replaced Lamar last year, he was very, very solid. And what he was doing, he targeted Duvernay more than Lamar has recently, and he's trying to get a little bit more people involved. And you've got, your backfield's getting healthier, the team's getting healthier besides Lamar, to where his weapons aren't bad, and he's been efficient. He still can move a little bit too. You can get you some rushing yards that, if Lamar's out a few weeks and your 2 QB leagues, I think he's somebody that you definitely plug.
I like that. Last year we obviously saw it. Like, he played awesome
Right.
when Lamar was out. I mean, we were talking about it before. I know I said it a few times in the preseason. I was kind of like, is Lamar going to get the contract?
I don't
because
think so,
of how
no.
well Huntley played. Like, Huntley proved in this offense with a rushing quarterback how Huntley is, how Lamar is. If they can throw the ball, good enough, like they can be very good in this offense. So we'll see. I mean, what if Huntley comes out and he lights up the next month?
Lamar's he's already borderline not getting paid as it is.
He had a rough 2 months. Like, the beginning of the season, he was MVP caliber, Lamar, and
for
then
the first month and a half.
It just fell off. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting offseason for Baltimore to decide what they're going to do with Lamar. I'm excited to see what happens.
Super tough decision.
Yeah, very tough. Another QB I wanted to touch on, Daniel Jones. He's QB 9 overall for the season. Points per game, he's just efficient. I don't think he's ever going to put up like a 30-pointer, but he's just very consistent, especially with that rushing floor. He had a nice week again this week against Washington. We talked about how well that defense has been playing. Is he somebody that you view as a consistent play, even going into the playoffs?
Probably.
Or are you still kind of matchup based?
No, we say this every week. With like Daniel Jones, it's not pretty, but it happens. He gets you there.
Yeah.
So you've got to play him. If he's QB 9,
yeah,
like you said, he's probably not going to have those 35-point games or 30-point games. But if you're debating whether to start him or not, you're already in a position to where you're probably going to need to start him.
Yeah. And then quick question. I just thought about it. Geno Smith. Is he a top 5 QB for you moving forward?
Dude, the chemistry he's been getting with Metcalf and like Lockett, they're so good. And watching it, obviously, we're in a dynasty league together, and I drafted Russ Wilson, and all this shows me is, all right, Pete Carroll might be a mad genius, and like, he just got a ridiculous amount of picks to get a quarterback who's more efficient than Russ ever was.
It's insane, man.
It
nuts. Really is. It's how well Geno Smith is playing in this offense.
I'm happy for him, man. That dude,
so am I. Seems like, I don't know, but it just seems like a super good dude. So I'm happy for them. I'm happy for the whole team because like
Yeah.
it looked like they were just breaking everything down and going to restart. Happy for Pete Carroll too. Like the guy's like 80s and he's still doing it and he's producing these teams that just keep going.
They were supposed to be a
Look at
bottom
that.
5 team in the league.
Albert with the stats.
Yeah.
5 straight games with a tutty. I mean, Lockett and Metcalf I was so down on them coming into the season.
Most people
I
were.
wanted nothing to do with them, and they're both going to finish top 20.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about like what Jamar Chase and Higgins, what they were planning on doing this year, like what the expectation was, and now it's like that's the Chase Higgins is Metcalf and Lockett this year.
For sure, it's yeah, and I don't think a ton of people saw that coming with Geno behind center, but
It's
I'm happy
scary.
for it. I'm excited.
It's scary.
I picked up Geno in a ton of leagues, and I'm kind of like, I'm always like, it just doesn't feel right. But now I'm to the point where I'm like, you know what? The dude's getting 20, 25 points a game, and he's just consistently doing it, and he looks good. So we're going to roll with it. I have Watson. I played Watson this week like a dumbass. That was my Browns bias.
Yeah.
I still won, luckily. But, yeah, I think I learned my lesson. I'm going to roll with Geno. Let's get in. Oh, let's talk about the QB losers real quick. Speaking of Watson was the big loser. I think for everybody, he put up like 5-6 points. He looked rushed. He looked like a guy who hasn't played in 700 days. That's the best I can say. Yeah, that's the best thing I can say about Watson is he just looked like a guy that hasn't played in 700 days. Do you think he'll find it at all this season, or like it's going to be a rough go the rest of the year?
I think. I mean, it's so short for him. I think it takes a few games.
I mean, he had one drive preseason too.
He's not making like terrible decisions. It's just, for example, like I signed up for a softball league last year, and I haven't thrown a softball or a baseball in probably over 10 years. And the first game I go out there throwing, I'm playing center field, and I'm throwing the ball into the ground like 25, 30 feet in front of me.
You're rushing. Yeah, like your mechanics are sped up.
My mechanics are off. I'm just like, I can just toss it and it's fine. But as soon as the adrenaline's going, I'm not thinking throw a lot. I'm trying to throw it straight with speed, and it's just going to the ground. And that's what happened with Watson. I'm not worried about it. He made solid decisions. He ran the ball well. So it's just one of those guys, should you be starting him in redraft this season to begin with? Probably not.
Yeah.
You really honestly shouldn't.
You're right. I'm with you. I think I'm going to hold on to him and just sit until maybe something pops. It's a really tough game too for him to go back to Houston first game. Crowd was booing him, which he's going to get at away games anyways, but like that's a very tough first game to come back to, and like he could see he wanted to shut everybody up. Like that's what he came out trying to do, and it just looked forced and didn't look good. And then we'll touch real quick. You want to talk about this? I like this question a lot. Russ Wilson, obviously we're not playing him in redrafts or 2 QB leagues. It's even questionable at this point. Dynasty purposes for Russ, what's your outlook for him? Obviously you got to keep him, right?
I mean, that's not an obviously statement.
I know it's weird to say, right?
If you can package him and picks or another player to possibly get a QB who's just okay, and you're in a super flex,
like a Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, because going forward, it's the Broncos got to decide, are they paying Judy? What are they doing in that situation? Judy has played maybe half his games. Cortland Sutton's played less than half his games. Tim Patrick has been injured.
KJ Hamler's been hurt.
They have a bottom 3 coach in the league, so there's no positives right now. They don't know who their running back is. They don't know.
And we talk about it a lot. Javante's coming off an ACL next season. Like he's not going to be Javante next year. Like it's going to take a year. So even next year, man, it's going to be a rough go.
It's tough. And this is coming from somebody who drafted him in the first round.
A lot of people did.
I feel so stupid.
So like a Russ and like a Dame Pierce for like a Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, if you can, I mean,
That
I'll be realistic. Yeah, you can.
I mean, I have Trevor Lawrence, right? And I
Yeah.
would, I mean, you know my love for Pierce, but like can't like a Russ and like a decently good running back.
And you might have to throw.
Najee would for sure make me do that.
Well, yeah, but like if you might even have to throw in like a lower pick or something with it. He's not young, Russ
No,
Wilson. He's not young, and what made him such an efficient passer was how effective he was when he ran the ball. And the reason why he was able to do that is most of the time he had a good running back and a good run blocking offensive line. So that Broncos team is just, and they can't tear it down.
yeah,
They don't have picks.
They don't have money.
They're just SOL. I don't love the Broncos, so I could give two shits about the team, but it sucks having Russ right now. It hurts.
Doesn't look good.
No.
Yeah, that's an interesting topic. Is Russ in Dynasty? Like, what are you doing? I don't know. I think you're right. I think you try to package him and a player and try to get a young QB that has promise.
Yeah.
Trey Lance or something like that. You might be able to swing it. Let's get into some of these running back winners for the week, though. Samaje Perine. He's had back-to-back really good games without Joe Mixon. Mixon might be back this week. He might not. We don't know. The whole concussion thing. It's very day-to-day. If Mixon comes back, does Perine have standalone value for you?
Deep league flex value. He has been getting some third down looks. And then, for rest running, he's pretty good. I mean, if I hear the talk about the Bengals offensive line being bad again, I'm just going to bash some heads into the ground because they're not bad.
They look good now.
Yeah, they're the Bengals. I mean, I think the Bengals won the division at this point, but Perine,
Lamar out, yeah, probably.
Yeah, and Perine, a lot of teams have given him looks, and a couple teams have given him like actual chances, and he's never looked great. He's never looked bad, but right now, with him catching the ball, with the offensive line blocking well, with the weapons that are on the outside, it sets it up for any solid running back to be productive in this offense right now.
So is this a bigger knock on Mixon?
Yeah, I think what's his contract looking like right now? He's through 2024. Well, he's got a player option, so next year is his last year on the contract. Bengals can
Mixon?
release him. Yeah, so they only have him on the hook for one more year. It just always it always comes back to what we talked about with the NFL is don't ever overpay running backs. It never ends up benefiting the team.
He might be gone. You're right.
Yeah, so I think he's gone. Realistically, it's not a knock on Joe Mixon. I think he's good, but I think there's a lot of good running backs that maybe that are on bad teams that if you put on a good team look completely different.
You see it a lot, yeah.
Dame Pierce,
offensive line, man.
Yeah, Dame Pierce at the Eagles might be a freak. Or at the Bills.
Yeah, or in Cincy.
Because he didn't look bad yesterday. The Texans are just a dumpster fire.
Yeah, that team's just bad as a whole.
So.
They got I like it. I like Perine. I think he's good. I think he's a very good pass catching back. I definitely think he's proven that he can. I don't think it's going to be as drastic of a split as it was before Mixon went out. I think it'll be maybe like a 60-40, 65-35 sort of split. So this is going to hurt Mixon. And I think Perine has some sneaky value. They like to use him in the red zone in like those passing situations and stuff like that. So he could be a sneaky play. Definitely should be rostered and held the rest of the season for me. Cam Akers is another guy I want to talk about. Big day. He's had terrible games up until this point, but like, who's there really? What are you doing with him rest of the season? That whole team's a mess, but like, is he going to be the guy moving forward? Is he going to get 20 carries a game and hopefully he finds the end zone twice like he did yesterday?
I think going forward, no running back is going to be efficient in this offense right now. I think everybody knows that. There's just no weapons. The line, they've had injuries on the line. They have injuries in the skill positions. The two best receivers are out. Their quarterback's out. They're going to run the ball. Don't expect a lot of efficient runs. But in the red zone, he's going to get the ball. And if the Rams aren't sold on him, which I don't think they are, they're going to try to get as much value as they can out of him. And they know this season they're not going anywhere. So they want to give him the ball. You give him the ball, he stays healthy, you might be able to get a better trade package in the offseason. I think he's a flex play on some deeper leagues. I think you still have to see what happens kind of going forward. I picked him up in my redraft, and I spent the rest of my free agent money on him just to have the depth on my bench, because I think he does get at least 15 touches a game going forward.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's the same thing. It's like who's there? Who's gonna get the ball? Someone's got to get the ball, and it seems like it'll be him. For the most part, it's tough to play him, but if he puts together another nice week next week, then we can talk about like, okay, is he in the RB2 flex category moving forward? But right now, it's tough. Couple more guys I want to talk about real quick. We'll get through them, and then we'll move on. Swift had a great game. He looked awesome. He looked like the Swift of old. Is this going to continue?
I think it's just going to be a 50-50 split. I think that's what's going to – I think, Jamal's looked really good this season to where you've got to continue to give him the ball. But Swift has just been that big play running back that they've been waiting for. And most of the season, he hasn't been that guy because he's been injured, and they pretty much said that he's probably not going to be 100% the entire year because of the injury. I think it's going to be a split the rest of the season, and it's going to be one of those situations to where, depending on how the Lions' offense plays going forward and how Jared Goff plays forward, those guys both might be flex plays for the rest of the year.
Yeah. Jameson Williams coming in. Williams. A lot of DJ Shark being back's a big addition. Amon Ra looked awesome yesterday.
Yeah, he's so good.
The offense is loaded. It really is, which is crazy to say. The offense is loaded with talent. Is he going to get enough touches weekly to be relevant is the question. And I don't know, man. That's a good it's tough. I mean, he can do all his damage on 10, 15 touches. True. But he's got to get 15 touches. And I don't know if that's doable with how they're using these running backs. It's tough to bank on it.
He's a deep league flex play. I mean,
yeah, he's so good, but man, it's tough. Tony Pollard. What are we doing? I feel like we talk about him he's a winner one week, loser next, winner this week. It's just is it going to be like this the rest of the season, or are we going to start seeing consistent RB2 numbers that we don't have to worry about with the upside of being top 3 RB the week of?
It's going to be up and down the entire season. Like we've said every week, Zeke's going to get touches. So it's all going to be about game script, what's going on in the game, what Cowboys defense is doing. So for me, I put Pollard as flex one, bottom RB2 probably the rest of the year, because he's going to have games where he's a top 10 back, and he's going to have games where he's back 20 to 25.
Yeah. We say it every week, man. We just want him to get the work, and he will be top 5 RB. But
they're paying Zeke a lot of money.
I hate that so much. That excuse is so shitty, but it's so true.
Jerry Jones, don't play
it's
with money.
So stupid. And then real quick, Bam Knight with the Jets. He looked awesome again. They're saying Carter should be back this week. Do you see a 50-50 split? Is that how this is going to be? Or is he going to get more work in the run game and Carter kind of be that pass catching back how it was with Breece Hall?
I think it's probably going to be 50-50. I don't see them giving, majority of the carries to Carter when they already know what he is, and, they've already seen enough from him to know what he's going to be probably long-term from that, for that organization. With Bam, at this point, you're evaluating, what's he going to be on the team next year? You have, 4 or 5 running backs on the team. You're going to have to make some decisions in the offseason with Carter and Johnson. And, Brees is the guy. So is Bam the number 2 next year, or is it Carter? I think that's what they're going to try to figure out.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he has the potential to be an RB2 rest of the season.
Yeah.
We'll just see how it plays out when Carter's back. The first game back with Carter's gonna be tough for me to say play him. Like, I want to see how that plays out.
I probably wouldn't play him.
Yeah, I'd wait it out and see what happens.
Jets have been really surprising, and not a lot of people are talking about what the coach has done, but what he's done with the offense and the play calling, he knows.
And the defense. Defense looks great.
Defense, you expected it, and it has been great all season. But what the offense is doing, and they've just been playing to their strengths, and that's Garrett Wilson in the run game.
Yeah, and why change it?
No, there's no reason.
Couple losers from the week. ETN, he got bottled up against Detroit. Foot injury issue. Are we worried about his foot? Is it like very concerning moving forward?
I don't think it's very concerning. He's still getting carries. They're still playing him. If it was a real concern, they're probably not playing him. Yeah, Detroit finally had a decent game against the run game.
They've been sneakily, the last month and a half, they've been way better than they were.
Yeah,
first season, but yeah,
first 2 months they were terrible.
I agree.
But you're still playing ETN. Is he an RB1 like he was for a month and a half? Probably not right now, but he's definitely at worst an RB2, and you're playing him as an RB2. I'm not too worried.
Yeah, he could get back to that RB1 level. I think it might take a couple weeks just to get acclimated again and make sure that foot's okay. Another one, Nick Chubb. 2 out of the last 3 weeks he's had very bad games. Are we concerned with the direction of the offense with Watson being there? It seemed like they were a lot more RPO heavy, a lot more Kareem Hunt. I personally think they're going to be a lot more pass happy than they have been in the past with Watson. Are we concerned with him going into the playoffs?
Normally I would say no, but I honestly am going to say yes. And there's a couple reasons for that. One of them being Deshaun Watson at the Texans ran out of the shotgun. I think it was 85%.
The offense was completely different.
It's completely different. Kareem Hunt, he works better out of the shotgun and spread offense than Chubb does.
Mm-hmm.
He runs better from the spread than Chubb does. But I know they want to keep Chubb involved. And there's another thing that Hunt hasn't been playing well, hasn't been getting the snaps that he did compared to last year. Chubb's just got a lot of miles on him right now. So I would be a little concerned. They might be increasing the workload for Hunt, at least for a little bit, to give Chubb a little bit of a break, especially if they're winning games. You decided who your franchise player was. You gave him $50 million guaranteed. You've got to make the offense work for him. It sucks for Chubb, but you just gave up everything for this quarterback.
Yeah, I agree 100% with what you're saying. I have some serious concerns moving forward. How much of this game was based on the offense as a whole, just not being good with Watson's first game? Like, they couldn't get sustained drives going. They couldn't get in a rhythm where then they could use Chubb. They couldn't pass, so they couldn't really rely on the run. So it'll be interesting moving forward.
Yeah,
with the running backs. Let's get into some of these wide receivers really quick. Keenan Allen, 14 targets this week. Very good week. My concern with that is he only had 6 catches. Do we continue to see the volume of targets that we saw this week? And do we expect the, efficiency of the targets to increase?
I think it depends on Mike Williams. Jordan Palmer is a benefactor of just having Justin Herbert throw him the ball. With Mike Williams there and having, Palmer as a number 3, I think Keenan, if he's getting 14 targets, which I don't think he does, I think he's anywhere between like 8 and 12 targets going forward a game. But it's going to be more efficient because Justin Herbert's not going to have to force him. He's going to be able to have more open looks. Having Mike Williams there allows that to happen. When he's not there, other teams aren't super worried about Jordan Palmer. They're watching him, but they're keen on Keenan Allen.
Yeah, I agree. I think if Mike Williams comes back, as crazy as it is, I think it helps Keenan.
It does 100%.
And it will just kind of open the field up. I agree with that. So keep an eye out. Hopefully Williams comes back sooner than later, and then we can maybe see this offense get back to how it was last season.
Yeah.
Christian Watson, kid's a stud. Tiffany, I know you like this. He's a legitimate. He could be a bona fide star. I don't know. I don't want to say that yet, but he looks awesome. Do we expect this productivity to continue the rest of the season into playoffs for us? Or do you see like a regression coming?
I think if you're looking at it logically and statistically, you've got to expect some regression just because of the efficiency of, his targets, the touchdowns. I think he is a stud. Going into the season, I gave Mario a lot of crap because it was all, Allen Lazard. And to me, having a 6'5" receiver running a 4.3 doesn't come very often. And Rodgers is finally getting some chemistry. They're just going to continue to find ways to get him the ball. I think he's going to have big games, and I think there's going to be games where he might only have a few points. How many, I don't know. But you're playing him because of how efficient he has been in the big play ability.
Yeah. Dude, he has been tearing it up.
He's so good.
I'm going to pull up his last few weeks here real quick. So, man, since week 10, 36 points, 21, 24, 25. He's got to be
touchdowns in 4 games.
He's got to be top. He might be number 1 in the best month wide receiver.
8 TDs in 4 games.
It's tough to see that continuing.
Right.
It really is. But, dude, until he, does something to say it's not going to continue.
Packers don't have a lot. They don't have a third receiver. Running backs are off and on. Who's on? Dylan's been off for most of the year, and now he's getting the carries.
But with the emergence, this is just how I've been looking at it. With the emergence of Christian Watson, A-Rod's been playing way better.
Right.
Which opens up the run game. The run game's getting going. A.J. Dillon had, I want to say 90 yards this week.
This was his best game.
Aaron Jones was hurt this week, so he didn't really get on the field too much. But if they continue this trend where the passing game is actually working and it's going through Christian Watson, opening up the run game, which then leads to more opportunities for the deep play for Christian Watson, it could really be, like Tiffany said, rookie of the year.
Yeah, probably. If you're thinking about other rookies, who's leading right now? Pickett? Olave.
Olave's been a stud.
Yeah.
Garrett Wilson's,
he's had huge games, but then disappeared because of Zach Wilson.
Yeah. Brees was the runaway until the ACL, but
right. If you're the Packers, you're doing anything and everything at this point to find a way to get in Christian Watson's hands for 2 reasons. He gives you the best chance to win.
KW3.
Yeah, KW3 is probably. I agree with Mario. He's probably rookie of the year right now. But also getting the ball in Christian Watson's hands, you're convincing A-Rod to stay. You're convincing him not to demand a trade or debate retiring.
Yeah, and the only way to do that is make sure Christian Watson gets the ball.
2
tutties. I hope he gets the 3rd because I'm starting him in every league I got. Who
are they playing next week?
Good question. It's a good question. They got a bye this week, and then the Rams. So they got Rams, Miami, Minnesota.
I don't love that. I mean, Ramsey hasn't been great this year, but I think they run the ball a ton.
Yeah, it's the emergence of the pass game.
Dillon RB13, RB6 last two. Jones' injury comes into play like that, but I agree with what Rob touched on with Watson opening the offense up. That you might finally see the Aaron Jones and Dillon where these guys could possibly both be startable RBs when they're both healthy.
Yeah, I think you're right.
In theory.
I love watching Watson play, man. He could be a special talent.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk on this guy real quick, and then we'll move on to the losers. Michael Gallup is somebody I wanted to talk about. I think he had 12 points last week, 18 points this week. Seems like he's starting to get back to the old Michael Gallup from last season. We knew it was going to take a little while after the injury. Is he somebody you're focusing on and could be a good flex play moving forward throughout the playoffs?
For sure. The team looks better when Gallup's getting targets. I mean, it looks better for CeeDee Lamb. Lamb had a good game.
Lamb had a great game.
I got a lot of crap from Michael Gallup. Hey, he's coming from a big injury. He's not going to do anything for the first half of the season. It's like, yeah, you're probably right. Robbie got some. But you're looking at that team, and he's the clear number 2.
I know.
Going forward, you're probably starting him in a flex position.
I think you're right. If I had him, I would be flexing him.
He's running routes really well.
Yeah, he looks back to his old self.
Prescott likes him. It just took time for them to get the chemistry on the field back.
Yeah, I think you're right. Dak coming off the injury, Gallup coming back from an injury. They didn't play together for a full season pretty much.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I think that's 100% right. And he's another player, just like Watson, I think he could be a player that kind of catapults you into the playoffs and, helps you win it. He's a good, I like him rest of the season. I really do. I think he's a very good piece to have on your team. And then let's talk about some of these losers. Michael Pittman Jr. Is he just a solid bench rest of the season for right now?
That's tough. I think in a 10-team league, yeah, probably. If you're in a 12 or 14, 12, it's borderline depending on, what's going on. There's still a bye week left. If you have Terry McLaurin and, you need to plug somebody in, it's like, can he have a solid game for the rest of the season? Yeah, it can happen. You don't love it.
I think you talking about Gallup? He's talking about Gallup.
Yeah, so I don't love Pittman.
It's tough, man.
It's a desperation play.
It's tough. Yeah, I have a team that consisted of Pittman, Mike Evans, and Jamar Chase. Those were my wide receivers. And last week I started Christian Watson, DPJ, and who was the third one? Somebody else. Crazy. I was sitting there looking at him like, I can't believe I'm doing this right now with the start of my season.
Football's a crazy sport.
Yeah, man. It just goes to show like name value isn't everything, and what you expect. It's the Pittman thing is mind blowing, but you look at it, you got a quarterback coming in, they don't have chemistry, you don't know what to expect.
You have Jeff Saturday and it's just coach.
Yeah, well, that doesn't help either. I mean,
the guy who's sitting on a couch for
Jonathan Taylor too this week. He had a very bad game as well.
Colts just suck, man. They're terrible.
It's so crazy how far they fell, and so quickly, and how it just happened. Yeah, I don't think I have Pittman, and I don't think I can play him until I don't know when I need to see consistent play for multiple weeks. And at this point, we're getting to the point where it's like, okay, it's playoffs. Like, you got to play the players that get the points. So he's a tough one. Two more things I want to touch on. This is more of a general questions as opposed to just a single player. Kansas City as a whole, their wide receiver core, are any playable or any even rosterable at this point?
Yeah. Juju's rosterable, and there's games where you're probably playing him, and especially if you have a 2-flex league, you're probably going to end up playing him.
Is he back?
Who, Juju?
Yeah, I don't think he didn't play this week.
You're definitely playing Juju.
I mean, I know Juju. I'm saying without Juju, right? So say he's still hurt. As long as Juju's out, like, are any of these other players playable?
No. I mean, I don't want to touch anybody on that offense besides Kelsey and Pat Mahomes.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I mean,
I think you're not. Isaiah Pacheco has been nice lately, though.
Well, Schuster played. He got 5 points.
Did he? Okay, that's my fault.
He only had 4 targets. So the last 3 games for Schuster have been bad.
Okay, well, that's why I haven't.
Well, yeah, his last 3 games he played, he was out for the Chargers. But you're rostering Schuster. Like I said, it's you're.
I missed that.
He's a borderline second flex play, but I don't want anything to do with this offense between Pat Mahomes and Kelsey, and they're kind of starting to plateau at the wrong time.
Yeah, so with Juju, right? So he's playing it. What do you need to see to play him? Like, one game? Is it going to take 2 games of, like, double-digit points?
It's the Chiefs right now, so it's just a prayer. You're not looking for 2 games because the probability of him playing 2 good games and then playing a good third game
he was killing it until that injury, man. It was
like what? He had 4 he had
4 or
5 games?
like really nice games in a row that were he was like top 10 wide receiver in that span.
He had 3 games that were, so he went,
okay.
It was Buffalo, San Francisco, and then Tennessee. Before that, he had like 4 points, 7 points. He had 11. Well, this is half point, but like he had 3 big weeks and then a couple pretty solid weeks. So
yeah,
you're rostering him. You're not.
You're right. That for me, the whole offense, besides Patty and Kelsey, have really been on the back burner for me. It's just been like
it's all because Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah.
It's all because of him.
Yeah, Mario loves Pacheco. He had a nice game. I think he had like 17 points this week.
He's fast.
He's fast, and he's getting the work now. So
yeah,
he could be a good RB2 for sure moving forward.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh no, you're having trouble with defenses, Tiff. You gotta
hit
the DMs, Tiff. We'll help you out. Hit the DMs.
Don't start a Chiefs defense against a high-scoring offense.
No. And then let's talk about the Niners receiving core without Jimmy G. I just want to touch on it really quick. Where are we at with them as a whole, I guess? Debo and Ayuk, like, can we play them until we see what happens?
This sounds crazy, but going into the season, it's like Debo's value was because of his rushing attempts. Like, he was a very good receiver, but he opened up that offense and he was just big play, big play, big play. I think Ayuk is the better receiver. Debo is a better playmaker. I think Ayuk is a safer play than Debo going forward.
Are you playing him, though?
I'm probably playing Ayuk in a flex.
Okay.
Debo, you're playing him because you drafted him and gave up a ton to get him on your team, but you're not loving. I mean, what's Debo done recently, even before the injury? It wasn't great. Where was he at? Let's see.
I was just pulling it up.
So, I mean, he had 3, this last game he had 6 catches. He went 3 catches, 7 catches, 2 catches, 5 catches. Like,
yeah,
he started the year strong and kind of tailed off.
Does this help Christian McCaffrey?
100%. So it's an unknown QB. I mean, it should help Kittle. I think it helps Ayuk.
Speaking of that, let's talk Kittle real quick. Because I have him in my tight end losers. Like, he had a rough game this week. He had a rough game last week. I'm pretty positive. No Jimmy G, which we know the connection between those two. So you think Kittle will be fine moving forward?
Yeah, I think Shanahan's a very, very good offensive-minded coach, and he's going to try to put his quarterback in the best position to win. And I think that means less big play passes and more of get the ball in McCaffrey, Kittle's hands. Debo might get some rushing attempts, honestly. I mean, that might change more. He could get an uptick there. I would feel safe with Kittle. It's a tight end position.
Yeah.
You're not playing anybody else over him.
Yeah. And speaking of tight ends, let's get into the tight end winners of the week. Cole Kmet. As long as Fields is on the field, is Kmet is he a top 6 tight end? Like where you at? He's a easy play, right?
You're playing him. He's top. I think he's top 10. Borderline top 10. You're playing him. It's the tight ends this year. It's like that should be. If anybody wrote a book about the 2022 season, it should have just been the year of no tight ends.
Yeah. Just one of those positions. We talk about it every season, right? Like the tight end position, but this year, out of any other season that I can remember, the inconsistency is wild. Another guy, Greg Dolchik, of course, when I drop him in all my leagues that I had him in, he does this. Is this a blip? Is this going to continue? Do you expect anything else from him? Or is it going to be like he'll put up 13 and then he'll get you 2 next week?
That's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
You don't know what's happening with that offense. Nobody does. The coach doesn't. The quarterback doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
Yeah. Anything on that offense is tough to play. Very tough to play. I mean, I have Cortland Sutton and
injured.
Yeah, but I was playing him and he was doing fine the first half of the season, and then he fell off a cliff. Yeah, the whole offense. You're right. The whole offense as a whole is
it's bad.
Noah Fant was tight end 1. That he was on my list to talk about. He's an interesting one. He's so interesting to me that I think he's a very good tight end. He can be awesome if he gets the targets.
Get him in your dynasty league. See what happens next year.
Yeah.
They're starting to try to get him the ball.
That's the thing, right? Like the offense is good, which is for me right now, I'm trying to key tight ends in good offenses. Like that's the only thing that I can, rely on. He is in a very good offense. He isn't with a quarterback. We talked about him earlier that we both think is a top 5 fantasy quarterback moving forward. Noah Fant, I think, is definitely worth picking up, having on your roster, and he should be. I mean, he probably should be getting played at this point in most leagues.
He could be a guy in the going into the playoffs where, if there's a tight end injury or there's a bad matchup for you going into the playoffs for your tight end, he might be somebody you look at playing if it's a better matchup. The talent's there. He was drafted in the first round.
He's good. He's good. He just needs to get the work. That's
part of the Russ trade package. That was supposed to be. It's just he hasn't done anything until the last few weeks.
Yeah. I agree. He's a tight end position, man. Like it just talk about it every week. It's just
should I play the mega ball or Mega Millions or Powerball?
Both of us are just
scratch offs.
There's 3 tight ends where play him, and then the rest is
even Hawk. Hawk is tight end 3, and it's he got me 6 points this week.
Yeah, I'm not as bullish on him as most people. I don't know. I don't trust Kirk Cousins with the tight end. That's just my personal belief with it.
It's not fun,
Yeah,
it's not fun not having Travis Kelce.
Yes. Moral of the story is draft Kelsey every year, round 1.
Even if he's 40, draft him first
just
round.
pick him up. Last guy we'll talk about as a loser, and then we will get you guys out of here for Monday Night Football is Conklin. We talked about him last week. It could be with Mike White being there, he could kind of take a step forward and be consistently good going down the stretch as your tight end. He had 7 targets, which is awesome for a tight end. I think he only brought in 2, though. Are there better days ahead? Like, are you concerned or are you happy with the fact that he got 7 targets?
I'll be honest. I don't care. Don't give a crap because it's just not going to be consistent enough. You're never going to know. The probability of getting the week right for him is just going to be so rare. The percentage of that happening is just low. We talk about it because all the tight ends have sucked. I mean, look at Ingram decided he wanted to play tight end again this week. Like, okay, thanks. After you're like giving up 2 stinkers in a row, we're like, I need to play a different tight end, and then he has a good game.
Seems
it's just
like
it's Russian roulette. So with Conklin, he's at the lower of the you maybe play him, don't give a shit box.
Like, would you rather have Noah Fant?
Yeah.
Would you play Noah Fant over Conklin?
Yes.
Would you play Noah Fant over Greg Dulcich?
No. Just because the Broncos have nobody.
It's tough, man.
And you're going to get stinkers. It just sucks because the guys who drafted Kittle. Well, I think Rob kicked himself out of this.
I'm back. Hold on.
Did you kick yourself out of it?
Shit. I accidentally unplugged. All right, speaking, I accidentally unplugged my cord. Okay, so with that, we're just gonna get you guys out of here.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Accidentally unplugged.
He was so angry about me talking about Conklin. He unplugged his camera.
And my mic's out too, so I don't know how I sound, but we're going to get you guys out of here for Monday Night Football. This was great exit. Great exit. You guys can see how big my nose is. Am I good?
Yeah, you look like you're in Despicable Me looking
Good to
down.
go. We are out of here. We'll get you out of here. All right. So if you don't follow us on Twitter, check us out at DadBodFS. We're on YouTube, DadBod Fantasy Squad, Twitch, DadBod Fantasy Squad. We are on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Podcasts. Out.
Let's go.
All the
other major streaming. Get on it. Like
Everybody,
us. Share it.
Go enjoy the Monday Night Football. I'm glad we could hopefully give you a little laugh at the end. Have fun, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Show everybody Rob's screw ups.
Me.